Hello, my name is Kristen Shear, and my presentation is on Chapter 8, titled Promoting Student Learning from the Textbook. Before I start my presentation, I like to go over my objectives. So first, we will discuss the difficulties that students who have ELN have, and then we will review ways in which the textbook states that educators can assist ELN students. So as you see up on the screen, these are the 4 main strategies that we're going to be going over today. Looking at the big picture, why should teachers really care about promoting student learning from a textbook? Well, secondary students spend as much as 75% of classroom time and 90% of homework time interacting with textbooks. So that's a lot of time they're going to be spending using textbooks. And at each grade level, dependency upon textbooks actually increases. The problem is many textbooks vary in their difficulty of reading. So even students who don't necessarily have ELN are not necessarily equipped to be reading at this level or just reading textbooks in general. So strategies discussed will help all students, even those without any learning disabilities. So students who have ELM, these are difficulties that they deal with. Making inferences from explicit text, understanding relationships and connections, distinguishing between main ideas and insignificant details, understanding the main idea of a passage. They're less aware of the structure of a text, have a poor recall of text ideas, lack processing skills, and lastly, lack skills related to organizing writing information. So now we will discuss 4 strategies we can use to help assist students. So the first stage is the usage of goals to make relationships explicit. The goal of goals is to increase text comprehension. Teachers should teach students how to use goals to help organize concepts during and after reading. GOES is accepted as a successful teaching strategy because it improves high school's conceptual understanding from different subject areas. For example, as an inspiring science teacher, I can use this approach to teach about the periodic table, global warming, or even mitosis. Thus, GOES make relationships within domains knowledgeable and explicit. So, the use of GOES help tackle strategies of inclusiveness to help students comprehend text because confusion is conquered because there's visuals of the relationship before even reading the text. Also, frustration is eliminated since confusion is thus conquered. And then as teachers, we always like when students complete a task. So completion of the reading is more likely because students are actually able to comprehend the text in the first place. And lastly, reasoning is supported as students encounter the text because again they've already been introduced to those relationships that they're going to be reading within the text. As we further go about strategies, you're going to see a lot of the pros are kind of overlapping of each other, which is fine. I just want to point that out. So next we have explicitary text structure. So there's 5 different types. We're going to start with the main idea, which is the first. The main idea is characterized by a passage that focus on one idea. The other sentences in the passage provide extended support through clarification, either details or an illustration. So principles, laws, and definitions are words that will signal the passage is a main idea. Each of these structures will have a signal that signifies it. So with lists, we'll notice that semicolons, numbers, and letters in parentheses indicate this structure. That's the list signal. Thus, this type of passage focuses on general topics followed by a list. So number 3, order. This structure focuses on a single topic and then consists of a series of ordered steps or events. Signals for this type of structure are first, second, stage, next, and also then. So 4th is comparison and contrast. In the compare and contrast structure, the text looks at the relationship between two or more things. The signals of this structure are phases like contrast are in comparison to. So our last one is classification. This structure is classified. This structure explicits a scheme to be used later in classifying items. The suggested study strategy was to write down the topic and then relate items to a column form. So for this, some pros of teaching this structure is, again, confusion is decreased because students comprehend the main purpose of the text. They're not going throughout the whole text and trying to find the purpose or focusing on insignificant things. Again, frustration is eliminated when confusion is decreased. Also, students are able to learn how to better organize. So organization is increased since students are taught to recognize structure within the text. No, metacognition is also recognized when students recognize the structure of text. Okay, so oftentimes people believe that digital audio textbooks are only used for students who have visual impairment, which is completely not true. Actually, digital textbooks can be helpful for students who are dyslexic or students who have other impairments which don't allow them to, like, an example would be a student that can't easily accessible flip the page. So students like that, it would be helpful to them. So we're going to go over some pros of digital textbooks. So perception is strengthened through auditory input and also because of visuals. Comprehension is ensured since the material is accessible. Confusion, again, we see this as an overlapping thing with an instruction structure, because material is again understood. Again, we see frustration is avoided because confusion is eliminated. Motivation is increased when the material is understood. And also, which is something personally why I like digital textbooks, is because my attention span is stronger, and thus motivation is actually increased to continue reading the text. So lastly, we have pre-teach vocabulary as our last structure. So the last structure is to pre-teach vocabulary. Like I just said, vocabulary knowledge is actually the number one predictor of comprehension. Thus, before assigning a reading, a teacher should really emphasize pre-teaching difficult and new vocabulary that students will encounter in the text. So the text book recommends that direct pre-teaching of key vocabulary words indicate one simple definition, 2 examples, and then 3 non-examples and 4 goes, which will help students better understand what they're reading. So pros of pre-teaching, and again, confusion is diminished because they have the big picture in mind. Frustration is prevented when confusion, again, isn't an issue. Completion of reading assignments is more likely when students aren't frustrated. So we see a lot of those overlapping again. So here are my references. Thank you.